Green Island, and they had 8 weeks of our tour at Green Island, and then shifted over to Jackanow Bay on New Britain, and we were the first squadron to go into Jackanow Bay. Terrible place. 7 inches of rain every bloody day. It was closer to Rabaul, but we did far less hours over Rabaul from Jackanow Bay than we ever did from Green Island. But that was all part and parcel. I brought some photos with me which I've forgotten. I'll just pass them around and give you an idea. There was me as a 16-year-old in my slouch hat of the Wellington East Coast Mounted Rifles. This was when we went on to tanks at Wairuru. That was a lineup of aircraft at Guadalcanal. That's one of the first sights we saw at Bougainville.
What is that, a pig?
That's a pig.
Yep.
That's the natives. Here's the aircraft in parking there, right on the strip.
Wow.
That was Mount Bagana at Bougainville, which was in Japanese hands. About half the distance between there and where we are was in Japanese hands. And we were in shelling range of the area there. That, if you note the markings of the roundels on our aircraft, that white bar was put in and all red taken out of it so that nobody mistook us for Japanese aircraft. We had no red, and the American aircraft had the white bar, and they put the white bar as well. Then at Green Island, we did a lot of flying at Green Island, but we were also able to build a yacht. And there I was planing the mast. And there was our fleet of yachts at Green Island. That was the American one, and this is the original America's Cup. That was my mate and I, Ron Blair, and I just crossing the line, and the Yanks were way in the background. This was wash day at Green Island with a cactus stove, a can of diesel oil fed down into a drum that had a hole the size of a 4-gallon tin cut in the top. The fuel splashed and went, and it would boil 4 gallons of water in 2 minutes. And you can see the height of the chimney. That was all jam tins.
Yeah.
That was VE Day at Green Island, and we had a race meeting. That was a fair idea of the Green Island lagoon.
Yep.
And the type of island it was. There was our strips on Green Island, actually directly behind, but they ran from the ocean to the lagoon, just straight up. And that was, there were 2 there. That was a night out on the town. That was as much we saw of a night on the town. That was a family gathering at Jackanow Bay, and the only women I saw up in the islands in 9 months.
Had most of them been evacuated out, or did you just not see
No,
them?
no, they were just they were just natives living in the bush.
Yep, yep.
Simple as that. I still had a bit of life in me 12 months ago, and that was taken at Parakai, along with that one.
Fantastic.
92nd birthday, and I had 6 of my family, like my direct family, all of the 6 of us jumped out of the plane. There were my son and my third daughter, the one who's dying, who just died, plus my eldest daughter, her daughter, and my great-granddaughter. So 4 generations plus 2 others all went out at once.
That's marvellous.
I don't know how many of you know of Brian Cox and his book, but this book is worth anybody who is interested in the Pacific War to get it from the library and have a damn good read. It's full of all sorts of information. His statistics and everything, photographs are absolutely marvellous. And Brian and I trained together actually.
Well, actually tomorrow, because this is a 2-day event, and tomorrow we're at Ardmore, and Brian is going to be one of the speakers there.
He's going to be one of the speakers there. Yeah, right. Now, actual flying in the islands, I did 136 missions, one way and another. Most of it was dive bombing and strafing. There was a real hot spot at the northern end of Bougainville, known as the Walker Passage, where Bougainville finishes. A very narrow canal goes through, and a little Booker Island was above, and there were 3 Japanese aerodromes there, plus they had a lot of shipping working from there, and barges and so forth working from there. And it was a real hot spot. Down on the south of Bougainville, the American, at least the Australian Army, were working down there against the Japs, and we did a lot of dive bombing just in front of the Australian troops. And of course, at least Rabaul itself, we maintained 2 aircraft patrol over Rabaul 24 hours a day, Corsairs during daylight, and the Yanks took over with the night version of the Boston, I think it was, or Blenheim, no, Boston, I think. And they maintained that just because when we were up there, Japanese aircraft were virtually eliminated, and we were just there to make sure that there was nothing flying around. Also to see what road movements they were making, and then at the end of your 4 hours you would go down and strafe suitable targets that you'd seen. We, at Rabaul, they had a lot of barges at Rabaul that had been put in the cliff face on railway lines, and they used to bring them out at night and use them at night. My CO, who was Bill McLeod, squadron leader, Bill McLeod, I flew with him a lot, and Bill and I were trying to develop a system of throwing the bomb into the front of these caves. We managed to damage a few railway lines, but I think that was as much as we ever did. I don't think we ever blocked a cave, but we did have a lot of fun trying. And yeah, so that was basically it. The aircraft on numerous occasions came home a bit scratched. The old adrenaline used to run pretty well when you were dive bombing particularly, but that was my war. That was why I joined the Air Force, because I couldn't get away with it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning. What squadron did you serve with, sir?
21.
21. And did you realise the Corsair was the most prolific aircraft that RNZ ever had?
That our Air Force ever had.
They were already using the Air Force?
Yeah, oh yes.
And over a
Yeah.
stretch of the time they operated 434.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, we had 14 squadrons up there from 12, from 14, at least 12 squadrons, from 14 to 26 were all Corsair squadrons. And, you know, we had 28 serviceable aircraft all the time. I think each squadron had probably about 40 aircraft allocated to them. Yeah.
Did you say you were trying to develop the toss bombing technique? Did
A
you
toss
just-
bomb, yeah.
And was that not something that they taught you to do?
No, it's never been taught.
So what were you dropping, 250 or 500 pounds?
Well, it depended. We could carry 2 500s and a 1,000 if you didn't have a drop tank on. Drop tank, you could have your tank and 2 500s, or you could have a single 1,000 and 250s, or it was quite, depended what you were going to try and do and how far you had to go to get there, whether you had to use drop tank or not.
Did you get into any dogfighting scenario? 'Cause
No.
obviously you were bombing. Did you have fighter cover then? Did you cover that? Did you have fighter cover?
Did we have? We were our own. We had the best fighter aircraft of the war, the best single engine fighter aircraft of the war, the fastest, the best altitude, the best fighter aircraft of the war.
That was my point about asking you, did you get into a dogfight? I was interested to know whether you mixed it with a Zero or a...
No, the Japs had been eliminated by the time I got up there. Yeah. We were still getting New Zealand casualties up there, but they were being shot down or, aircraft accidents.